Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The reason I've been on YouTube for the last month and a half or so, I had to have my right shoulder replaced with an artificial shoulder. And I want to talk a little bit about that today and about where I'm at on the car and when I'll be back, hopefully working on the car and making videos again. But anyway, just to go over my surgery real quick, I was having issues with my shoulder. I couldn't raise my arm up. It's hurting so bad. And you'll see in a couple of videos I have coming up that I shot before the surgery, but didn't get edited and posted in time before the surgery. But I mentioned a couple of times in there trying to do something like torque some head bolts and things like that, and I really struggled with it. But what I had is it was going to be a complete shoulder replacement because I had really bad arthritis in the shoulder. Plus, I'd worn the socket, which is in the shoulder part, in so far that it was just bone on bone and it just wasn't working anymore. So once the doctors got in there, they discovered they had to do what was called a reverse shoulder surgery replacement. And what that is, they put a ball in my shoulder, a steel ball, it's titanium or something, I don't even know what it's made out of, stainless or something. And then they put a thing in my arm, in this main bone of my arm, and that has the socket in it so that it's actually reversed from what you are born with. And there's some advantages of that, and that's the reason why they did it. They said one of the reasons my sockets weren't in so far, they couldn't do the normal, and plus some other things that worked out better, which actually I'm glad, because from what I've read and seen other videos, the reverse is actually a little better repair. You lose a little bit of mobility, but you heal quicker, it works better, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this is a picture of my shoulder before the surgery, and you can see right in here where that ball and that socket come together, you can see how they're touching. There should be a gap between them, quite a bit of a gap, and that's because it's worn that soft material away. The bushy material was in there originally, and now it's bone on bone. And then this is what my shoulder looks like now. You can see the ball is on my shoulder side, and then it looks like a big gap, open gap between those two pieces, but there's actually a piece of plastic in there that forms to that shape, and it's held into this part here. And of course, it works like a bearing between the two surfaces. And then they had to screw this piece into the shoulder area there, and then this piece here goes down into my bone there a little ways. So that's what it looks like. Anyway, I don't know if you can tell it in this video the way I'm sitting here, but if you look at my left shoulder, it's kind of rounded. And if you look at my right shoulder, it kind of goes and slopes at an angle and then down. You can kind of see it there just a little bit. So that's a difference in a reverse and a regular shoulder replacement you can physically see, is that it drops your arm down and out a little bit from where it was before. But other than that, you really don't notice it. But I think I had a very positive experience with this whole surgery, replacement, and recovery. When I went in surgery on February the 9th of 2023, and they keep you overnight at the hospital. Of course, the next day I got to come home, and the only pain I had, they do a pain blocker on your shoulder. They inject something in here into a nerve, and you feel nothing. They could cut your arm off while you're still awake, you wouldn't feel it. And anyway, once I got out of surgery and recovery, I had no pain at all. I thought, this is great. I'm loving it. And all day long, the nurses come in and ask me how I'm doing. I said, 0 pain. They asked on a scale of 1 to 10. I said 0. I mean, I had no pain at all. And the doctor came in later in the afternoon, see how I was doing. And again, that was probably 3:30, 4 o'clock. And I told him, it's great. I have no pain, And so anyway, about 8 o'clock that night, the night of the 9th, the night of the surgery, my pain blocker wore off. And let me tell you, I had pain then. It was very uncomfortable. And they came in and they gave me a pill to take, and they said if it doesn't work in an hour, they'll try something else. So they after an hour and a half, it still hadn't touched the pain. So they gave me something else. It was an injection into my IV. I don't know what it was. Anyway, that didn't help. And finally, about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, they gave me another pill, a different pill. And I don't know if that pill finally worked, but anyway, about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, the pain kind of went away, and I felt really good. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I probably had like a pain of 2 to 3, which is quite bearable. And so I thought, this is great, man. You know, they have your arm in a sling, and you're supposed to keep your arm in a sling for 6 weeks at least, and only take it out when you bathe, dress, or you do your exercise and once you start therapy. So I went home wearing my sling, and I wore it every day from the 9th until I believe it was the 15th, which was the following Wednesday. I had surgery on a Thursday. The following Wednesday was the last day I wore my sling. I physically couldn't wear it anymore. It was hurting so bad wearing the sling, and when I took the sling off, the pain went away. And I actually had to use a pain pill the first night home it would have been Friday night, the 10th. I took a pain pill because my arm was hurting me because of the sling. It just, the way it held my arm and twisted it, it just hurt so bad. And I tried adjusting it a million different ways. I just couldn't get comfortable with it. So by the 15th, I finally told Diane, I said, I can't wear this anymore. I said, I'm taking it off. I said, it feels better without it. I'm being careful. I'm not going to bump my arm or anything. And so I quit wearing it after that, and I felt really good. No pain, nothing. And I went back to the doctor on the 27th of February to get my stitches out. I have an incision here, and I will post a picture of it, just a still picture. Hopefully it doesn't gross anybody out. It's probably about 4 inches long, and it goes like from here to here. And it healed really fast, looks really good. And anyway, I went out on the 22nd to get my stitches out, and it was his PA, the doctor's PA, that took my stitches out. And the first thing he asked me is, "Where's your sling?" And I said, "I can't wear it." I said, "It's actually out in the truck. I brought it with me just in case you made me put it back on." But I said, "I physically can't wear it. It hurts too bad." And he was a little mad at me, but you know, when he seen, you know, my arm was okay and I was out not having any pain, he kind of said, well, we probably would have had you start kind of weaning off a little bit now anyway, usually about 6 weeks normally. And so I was fine there, and so that was on the 22nd of February, and the 24th of February I went in for my first session of physical therapy. And they start you out pretty easy. I mean, just doing simple exercise, you know, more just putting a little pressure on the arm and pushing against the wall and things like that. Nothing real aggressive. And I did just fine. I said, this is fine. It doesn't hurt at all. He kept asking me, do you have any pain? And I said, no. And the therapist, she moved my arm around and, you know, different ways and asked me if it hurt. And I told her, no, it doesn't hurt. I mean, it's just a little sore. Like if you bump your arm and it feels bruised the next day, just a little bit. It does. Other than that, it doesn't hurt to move it around. It doesn't change that little ting of pain I had. And I told him, I said, you know, on a scale of 0 to 10, it might be a half at the worst. So I really had no pain, and my movement. I can show you this. Today is the what is today? Today is the 15th of March. I had my session of therapy today. I go twice a week. Mondays and Wednesdays, and I have, after today, I have 10 more sessions of therapy that they have me scheduled for, but the therapist is talking like I'm advancing so fast that I probably won't have to do the next 10. You know, I'm hoping to get done in about another 4 or 5, but we'll see. But I'm moving just fine. It's, you know, you can see, you know, if you look at this arm, there is a little bit of, you know, it's kind of hard to see. I can't raise up quite straight up and down, but I can go pretty far, a lot further than I think they thought I would even be able to go too. So I mean, there's no pain. It's just what I find. I've been trying to come out in the garage here and do some work, and I started doing something, and my arm just starts feeling tired, like really tired. You know, like if you've been out doing yard work all day and you go in and you start at daylight and you go in at dark, and you know how your arms just ache and kind of a tired feeling, and that's what it feels like. It just feels like I don't have the strength to do stuff. So I've been being very careful. I don't want to damage my arm and end up worse shape than I am now. So anyway, that's why I haven't been on YouTube or posting any videos. I just haven't felt like doing it. I've been kind of lazy, actually. There's a lot of little things I've done on the car, and I'll show you that right now and kind of show you where I'm at. Let me get the camera reset here. Okay, I've just done stupid little things with the engine I don't think I videoed. I needed a breather here, so I bought this. I don't know if I like it or not. I got it at Advanced Auto. And it's just a little small, but I think it'll work for now. I've got everything ready on the engine. What I need to do next is I've got to put the pilot bearing in the end of the crankshaft down there, mount the flywheel, dial it in, make sure it runs true, put my bell housing on here, make sure it runs with the center line of the crankshaft and everything, and then once I do that, then I can bolt the transmission on. The thing will be ready to go back into the car. You can see this is the wiring here for the Holley Sniper. This plug-in is for the little handheld programming box. Just plug and play. This longer cord here, this is for the power to power the Sniper. It also powers the electric fuel pump and let's see, electric fuel pump, and I think that's it. And then this plug-in, I actually ordered a kit, and I'll show that in the video, where you see those little red plugs in there. Those seal off the wires you're not going to use. And if you look at this plug-in, I have everything plugged off. I'm not even going to use this plug-in for now, and eventually I only plan on using one wire, and I think it's this one right here in the B location, and that would be for an electric tack. I have a mechanical tack on the car right now. I'd like to eventually put electric tack on there, but I'm not going to pull that dash out to do that right now. And so I don't need anything out of this plug-in. I wish there was somebody who could take it completely off the unit for now, but the best thing is to put those little seals in there and put this cap back on it, and that kind of seals it off, and it just stays with the whole harness here. And then the other thing I need to do, I started to do it after I got the motor all put together, and dummy me, I forgot. You see this little brass fitting down in here. Let's see if I can get down in here where you can see it. This brass fitting, that's where the oil pressure gauge screws into the plastic line that goes in there that flows oil to the oil pressure gauge in the engine or the passenger compartment, so you can see what your oil pressure is. And I put my priming tool on here, put my cordless drill, and went to crank it up, and I had oil shooting out of there, which is a good thing because that shows I have oil pressure, but it's a bad thing because I can't prime the engine. So what I'm going to have to do is I went to Harbor Freight, thank goodness for Harbor Freight, and I bought if I can find it here. I bought this. It was an engine oil pressure test kit. So I want to prime it before I put it in the car. So I've got this with adapter fittings I can screw into the block of the engine and then screw the hose into it. Then I can prime it with my priming tool and also check my oil pressure too. So I'm going to put that on there. I want to do all that before I put the engine back in the car so I can have the distributor put back in there without having to lean too far over the car to do too much work. But I think this is like 29 bucks at Harbor Freight. Okay, the other thing I did, this is a brand new wiring harness. It's the engine wiring harness, and I got this from Electric Unlimited. It's a company. I'll put the information at the bottom of the description on this video, but They give you the blueprint, explains to you exactly where every wire goes. They also give you, which I didn't use it, and I'm not sure where I put it. They give you this tube of grease, and it's supposed to make it look original factory. I guess a factory uses this. It's called Grapho grease, and you squirt it all over the end of this plug-in right there to seal off those wire openings, because they are open and water could get into them if you didn't do anything. So they give you that tube of grease to use to keep it looking original if you're trying to stay, you know, a perfect car like it came up the production line. I didn't want that because I didn't want to be, every time I touch this, I got grease on me. I'm not sure if that grease dries after a while or not. So I just use black silicone because I don't care. This is not going to be a numbers matching show quality car. I just want something that's not going to get any moisture in there. So I just use silicone and fill that in. I just push it down in there with a Q-tip, and you can see the backside, it didn't come all the way through, so it won't interfere with those making good contact. And what I'll do is I'll take a Q-tip and put a little dielectric grease on there and just put a little bit on each one of those tabs there when I put it together to kind of help keep them from corroding and everything. And then basically it's got all the, you know, all the plug-ins for everything you need. And there's a couple of plug-ins I don't think I'm going to need on here. I got this one down here, and I think, I don't know, I thought there was one other one here maybe that I don't think I'm going to need. I think it's this one here, because those are for the throttle controls sensor. And my car, I don't have any of those on the car. That'd be for, there's one here would go to the transmission, and this one here would go to the solenoid on the intake manifold, which I don't have any of that on my car, so I'm probably going to cut those two wires off. At first I was going to leave them on there and just, I've got some of that black, this black tape. It looks like electrical tape, but it's not sticky like electrical tape. It just sticks to itself. And I was just going to rewrap it and put them in there. And I might do that yet, I don't know, but I don't think I'll ever need them, so I might just cut them off to make it a little cleaner looking setup. And then of course, you know, it goes all the way out. That end's what goes to the starter. And again, these two wires here are for the heating, the air conditioning and the heater. And since I have the Vintage Air, I don't need this because my Vintage Air is wired in the console of the car. But I want to see if this is hot with key, or if it's hot all the time, whatever. I might be able to use it for something else if it is. So I'm going to keep those on there for now for sure. I bought this when I first got the car. It's an electrical diagram, shows where everything goes in the car. This is the front of the car all the way to the back of the car. And it's supposed to be for 70 and 71, but there's a few things I found on here don't match up with my car. So I don't know how accurate these things are, if they do make mistakes, or if there's something weird about my car. And also too, they kind of, like I said, this is the front of the car. It's got the headlights and stuff here. It goes into the alternator, or the starter, the distributor. And then, you know, you'd think this would be the interior of the car, so everything in the dash would be up here and stuff back here would be at the back of the car. But they've got some things back here, like all the center console gauges are right here before you get to the back of the car. I understand why they did it, because it'd be too hard to read if you had all clumped up there. But you know, I have like the speedometer and stuff over here. And then you get back, here's the battery, which is of course behind the driver's seat. And then, you know, the wiring into the tail lights and the gas tank and all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to be working on one of these cars, you definitely want to get something like this. It makes it really easy. And here, if you got transistor ignition, which I don't have on this car, it gives you the wiring for that. The air conditioning, if you had factory air. Again, I don't have any of that, so I took this whole wiring harness out of the car when I put the Vintage Air in. Got power windows, which I'd like to, my goal is to try to find either a donor car I can steal some parts off of, which would be including both doors and electric windows. Hopefully it would have a telescope steering column I can get, and a couple other things I want to put on my car. And it also shows a rear defroster, which my car doesn't have that either. So you can get those at most of the Corvette supply places. I think I got this one from Eckler's. Like I said, I've had this car about 1.5 years now, I think, or almost 2 years, I think. I think it'll be 2 years this June. So I got that back then. I kind of took a Scotch-Brite and cleaned up the surface on my flywheel. It's really good. I mean, it's not worn at all. You can still see the original machine marks in it. It just had a little bit of rust there from the clutch rubbing on, I guess, and then it's sitting here in the garage and drawing moisture. So I kind of just Scotch-Brited that off, get it ready to bolt onto the back of the engine. Of course, I got a video posted. It'll show me final assembly of my transmission. Got it all back together. Got a new rear yoke in it, new seal, all that kind of stuff. Turned out really good. I'm really anxious to get it in the car and see how it does once I drive a little bit and see if I have any drips. I mean, I sealed every place I could think of on this thing with gaskets and gasket sealer. So I replaced all the seals behind all the shifter levers here, the rear seal, the seal for the where the transmission, the speedometer cable screws into it. I mean, there really shouldn't be any place that could leak now. So I'm hoping it'll be a leak-free car. I think that's about all I've done so far. I've got the bell housing all painted up, cleaned up, the throwout bearing fork, that kind of stuff. So I'm really chomping at the bit to get this car back on the road and start driving it and enjoying it. I think the biggest thing is going to be the Holley Sniper. I also bought brand new battery cables, so this is the one that for the positive, it'll go from the battery behind the driver's seat all the way up to the starter. So I got to put that in yet, and I got a new ground wire to put in. I'm probably going to have to drop the fuel tank to put my 3/8 return line fitting in the top of the tank. And also I want to check, make sure I have proper venting on the tank. And I'm removing this off of the car. It's a charcoal canister for the fuel recovery, the vapor recovery, and it fits up in there on the driver's side of the car. I'm not putting that back in. The thing probably weighs 10 or 15 pounds, and I don't need it anymore. I mean, it's just extra weight, so I'm not going to put it back in, and I'm probably going to try to pull the lines off this side to go back to it, and also see if I can plug up the holes where this goes into the tank for one less place for it to leak, and then make sure I have a good vent on the tank at the top of the tank, and so it doesn't leak, and also make sure there's no other place that could be any kind of leaking on the tank. It's a brand new tank in the car. When I bought it, the guy that had it before me had put a brand new tank in it, and so I'm not worried about it being dirty or rusted or anything like that. And you can see down there on the exhaust pipe, I've got the O2 sensor mounted there down a little ways from where the donut goes into the manifold. And then that will just plug directly into the Holley Sniper. So I think once I get back on it, it won't take long to get this thing back together and hopefully get it fired up here. But I do want to apologize again for me, you know, being a while since I've posted a video, but I just, between my shoulder and things, other things going on, we had family come down to visit and things, I just really haven't been in the mood to work on videos. So I did have a couple of videos already recorded before I went in for surgery, and one of them was me finishing putting the transmission together. The other one was finishing putting the motor together. And yesterday I edited the transmission video and posted it. It will come out on this Sunday morning, and then I still have to edit the video showing me assembling the engine, and then I'm going to try to get that done so it'll post next Sunday. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I appreciate you guys watching and the well wishes I got from people that knew what was going on with my surgery. And my goal is to get back, hopefully by the end of March, back working on this or sooner. That was my goal. The end of March, be able to actually start physically working on this again. So we'll see. I feel pretty good right now. I feel pretty confident that that can be, completed, and this car will be back on the road hopefully by the middle of April, just in time for tax time. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, and like I always say, have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.